Hi everybody. I'm making this video to explain some of the important features of the Raptor Sleep-Shelter. There are several things that make the Falcon Hammock different from other hammocks. So let me explain how the ends are made. At first glance you would expect that it's just a common gathered end hammock. Well, that may be the case in this particular configuration. But on closer inspection you'll see that there's an additional hole, a buttonhole right here in the center. If you were to remove the continuous loop from the center, you would change the configuration of the hammock by tightening the bottom section and loosening the sides. Now we'll go back to the standard configuration is just open and then pull from the opposite ends. And it returns it back to an equal distribution on the sides as well as the bottom. The next point I'd like to bring forward is what I call the zipstick rails. You'll notice on the sides of the hammock that there is what appears to be a zipper. And if you look a little closer, you'll see there's actually Velcro, Omni-Tape Velcro, attached right onto the zipper. Now this works in conjunction with another component. The other half of the zipstick rail attaches to the portion that's on the hammock. Zips together and attaches just like this. And that's the way you attach the zipstick rail. Now you continue that down all the way to the other end. And I'll come back to this later. The next feature I want to show you is the adjustable shock cords. Now some hammocks have shock cord at the head end and the foot end, somewhere in about the 1 foot to 2 foot range. The Falcon Hammock has the shock cord that runs the entire length from the head to the foot end on both sides. Now this allows you to adjust the floppiness of the hammock and also bring the walls of the hammock up higher or lower. And it's an option that's up to you, depending on your personal preference. Now let me hang this up and show you a little more about how the zipstick rail works. If I continue down and zip that rail back in to about the midpoint, I've already attached at the foot end a top Condor Quilt. Now the Condor Quilt, this particular Condor Quilt is an 850 fill goose down quilt. It has 2-inch baffles and it has a draft collar at the top as well as an adjustable collar. Keep the drafts out. It also has a relief from the draft collar down to the attachment point to allow it to be tucked down alongside your shoulders while you're in the hammock. Give you a little more freedom of movement. Now this attaches to the Falcon Hammock on top of the zipstick rail from the foot end to the head end. Let me quickly attach that for you. And the same goes for the opposite side. Now once you have both sides attached, what you've effectively done is created a sleeping bag, and this keeps your top quilt from falling out of the hammock. It becomes part of the hammock. It also gives you more freedom of movement while you're inside the hammock. Now the beauty of the zipstick rail in this instance is that if you fold it down, and this would be the case if you were just going to use the top quilt without any top panels, screen or fabric. Then you can easily unzip the top quilt or zip it closed. Now, let me go to the next step. We'll pull back the zip stick rail back to its original position and zip it back up to the top or the head end of the hammock. And I'll show you what it looks like when you install the top screen panels. Now first, what you'll need to do is unhook your end temporarily, and you only have to do this one time to configure the screen panels. At the end, you'll see that there are two loops, two fixed loops. You thread your continuous loop from your hammock end through those two fixed loops, and you're done. Hook it back up, and that becomes a ridge line. Now, from this side, all you would need to do is to connect the Velcro that's on the screen panels to the Velcro that's on the zip stick rail. And once you have that in place, and might I add that this also goes over the top of the pre-installed top quilt. Once you have that in place, you can now unzip and get inside of the hammock. At the same time, it lifts up your top quilt. The other side of your screened portion can be attached directly to the Velcro. If you choose, you can use an additional zip stick rail to give you the zipper capability. But some folks choose to just use the Velcro itself to save on weight. Now actually, the weight of the zip stick rail itself is about 75 grams, just a little under 3 ounces. So it's really not a significant weight increase if you choose to use both zippers on this system when you create your Raptor. So now once I have the back installed and secured, and the front installed and secured, I'd like to show you the next portion, and that is a fabric panel. Now I have it already attached to the foot end, and let me bring that out into view. Similar to the screen portions and the Condor quilts, there is Omni tape affixed to the perimeter of all the panels, and also a fixed loop. Now, if you use this in combination with a screen, you don't need to attach the fixed loop. But if you use it separately without a screen, you would attach this. It prevents stress on the system, and it creates your ridge line. The ridge line on the Raptor system is 100 inches. The hammock itself is 10 feet and just under 5 feet in width. Now, as you can see, that was pretty quick to install, the top, and likewise the bottom portion of the fabric panel can be attached directly to the zip stick rail, just like the bug screen and just like the Condor quilt. Now, of course, you would do this all the way down to the foot end on both sides, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to do it midway. Now, once you have that fixed, you can see you have a nice protective covering, but underneath is your screen. You can still, because of the zip stick rail, unzip both of these and the quilt so that you can easily get inside. The quilt won't fall out, it won't move around, and it makes things a whole lot easier. The zippers are double-ended. In other words, there's 2 zipper pulls, and they're double-sided, so there's pulls on the inside as well as the outside for both ends. When you close this up, you can also remove any of the top panels partially for ventilation. And they'll stick to themselves because of the Omni-Tape. Now you'll notice that there's a different color on this particular top panel. There are different panels that we have available, so if you wanted to reverse this, very simply just remove it and turn it around. And some people will use a reflective panel on the inside to reflect back body heat. And then the same panel can be used if you're in very high sunlight and you'd like to reflect the sun back away from your shelter. You choose to do that. That's an option. You can also open it partially and stake it down so that you have an open area ventilated. So that's just some of the ways that you can set up the shelter. Now I also would like to show you how you can take and install a bottom quilt. Now the bottom quilt has been attached to the foot end already, and I'm going to show you the head end of the bottom quilt. This bottom quilt in particular is a synthetic quilt. It's made out of ripstop nylon. It also has Omni-Tape on the 2 long ends, and it has a shock cord at both of the short ends, and you adjust it with a cord lock like that. In addition, there is a long shock cord that attaches to the head and the foot end. To install it, all you need to do is take the clip and go around the rope at the end of your hammock. That snaps into place, and then you would attach the Velcro around the back of the hammock and also around the front. And once you do this, what you're going to end up with is a system whereby your underquilt doesn't shift. And because it's secured along the 2 long edges, you won't have any air infiltration. It's very easy to install, very fast, and it gives you a good degree of protection across the bottom of your hammock. I also sell these in goose down, 850 fill power, with 2-inch baffles and 3-inch baffles. I'll also post all of the specific dimensions and weights on my website so that you'll know exactly how much everything is going to weigh and how large the packages are and how much they can compress and so on and so forth. I also offer a ridgeline organizer in the 3-pocket, 2-pocket, and single pocket in ripstop nylon and also in mesh. They easily install right at the top in just a second or 2. Now these can be put anywhere, of course, along the top of the ridge. I hope you like what you've seen, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.